Good morning, everyone. I am up to Deck Manifesto, video number 4, and I think it's probably going to need to go to 5. I'll see how I go. I was hoping to film the rest of it today, but I've woken up with a head cold. One of the benefits of working in a school, I think. Also, my teenage son likes to bring me things. So let's go. Nova Witch Tarot. I haven't done much with this. I feel like maybe the energy within it is a little too young for me. I think the guidebook is really lovely for younger people, and yeah, I trimmed all the edges because it was a very big deck, and I have edged it with the antique colour that I just flick around all over the place. I'm considering, when it comes time, or it ever comes up for me to work through some stuff from that tweeny, early adolescent part of my life, and probably, things that might have transpired at school or any of that sort of stuff that I might want to clean up. I might use this. I've also don't have any intention of getting rid of it, because when I do have private practice, I will potentially be face to face with some adolescents, and this might be a tool someone might like to use. So that's a Nova Witch Tarot by Suki Ferguson, and the artwork is by Anna Novaeus. Dear everybody who's been watching, thank you, and commenting. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate your mature and insightful comments, as well as your thoughts and your best wishes. That's really great. Back on track. The Hermetic Tarot. Curiosity made me do it. I've trimmed the edges, and I'm planning to edge it in red, obvi. I haven't had much time. Just to recap, I'm studying my Masters, which is pretty consuming, all-consuming, plus working with adolescents with some pretty heavy stuff. So I haven't had a chance, but my intention is to treat this deck a bit like a colouring in deck. I've got some Sharpies that'll probably work okay with it. I haven't even tried that, but I thought if when I get the chance, I might just put it back in order and work through it card by card, colouring it in and journaling along the way, and maybe keeping some notes on things that I learn and pick up from it. But for now, it's a one day tarot of sexual magic. I cannot use this as a tarot for the life of me. I don't know if I'm missing something, if there's a secret to this or what not that I just don't understand, but I think I'm going to do, pardon my dirty hands because I've been out in the garden. I think I'm going to go through, I have started to go through the guidebook, write down the keywords that are closely associated with what is considered in this image. I can't really show you much. But yeah, and then I'll work out which ones maybe I would prefer, come up with my own, and then slice it to pieces and just turn it into an oracle. Here is an oldie. This has been kicking around for, I don't know, well over, I'm going to say over 25 years, maybe. I believe it was printed in the late 80s. It's called Medicine Cards. It's by Jamie Sams and David Carson, and they cards with animals and various are they dream catchers with them. There's a guidebook in it as well, where I'll never get rid of this deck because it's reminiscent of a time when I used to live in a cabin literally in the woods, a rundown old, they were called Cobb and Co cabin, and you know, no hot water, I'd a fire stove for hot water and all that sort of stuff. And some friends and I would sit around chain smoking cigarettes, drinking buckets of red wine, and in front of a fire as the winter nights roared outside, and yeah, would work through these decks together and connect that way. So it's very special. The animals themselves, I mean, there are plenty that do resonate, but there are some that are just not present in Australia. So, you know, but it's going nowhere. It's very sentimental to me. A friend gave it to me too, so that's that one. Botanical Inspirations. Love this little deck. It's a delight to use. Rarely do I use the guidebook. The cards themselves are enough for me. I've edged it with the antique colour. Yep, keywords, beautiful little quotes. I don't really, very rarely ever use it in isolation. I often use it with several tarot decks. I do use it with the Rider-Waite-Smith. I also use it with the Old Style Tarot. Yeah, I love the feel of this deck. It reminds me, I used to spend a very large amount of time, I'm so grateful for that time too, with my grandmother, who we used to do, she used to come and help me out in my nursery. We used to go off on plant geek days, I would call them, where we'd go to different, you know, Greening Australia days, and we would go to Indigenous and native nurseries and spend hours and hours pottering around in her incredible garden. So it very much reminds me of her. The Bonfire Tarot. I have recently popped it back in its box because it just wasn't getting much of a go around, and it was sitting in a primo position that I needed to use for another deck that I do use more often. This, Gabby Angus West, that was the book. I'll pick that up in a sec. Yeah, I love the colour on the edges. I love that edging. I'm wondering about this deck whether borders would probably be better. This is the second edition. I do believe the first edition had borders. Because it's so busy, it just gets, the messages get totally confused on the table. So it's really my Aries, Mars energy deck, you know. When I'm feeling my Mars might be activated, I bring this out. It doesn't mean it's just a all fiery deck. It does have water to it as well, but yeah, predominantly that's what I reach for when I'm feeling this way. The artwork is not really my style. Like, I'm not really much of a tattoo art kind of gully, but yeah, I don't intend on getting rid of it. So we'll see when next year comes round, if I use it even in the Aries season, to see what happens with it. Although, like I think I've said before, I'm unlikely to get rid of anything because I love having these things to look through. It's like a library, isn't it? It's just like having a tarot deck collection for me is just like a library, because regardless of how many times you've looked at something, it'll still give you something. You know, some things will probably be better at giving you the messages you need in the moment, but it doesn't mean we need to discount them just because they're not resonating right now. Hope that makes sense. Okay, over to my left is a little storage that holds my Thoth. For when I want to flick out a card, I am looking for recommendations of books also to study the Thoth. I've trimmed it off. It was just too difficult for me. Don't think it's going to be difficult to find another copy if I want it with the borders. I love the artwork. Yes, I do. I'm very curious. I imagine there are people who are just absolute devotees to it, and I've also heard there are people that won't go near it. Curious about it all. I think, what's her name again, the lady who did the art? Oh, I do know it, but it's gone. Her mastery of the geometry in this deck is phenomenal in certain cards, like absolutely masterful. And yeah, I would love to study it more closely and spend more intimate time with it. So it's just still, look at that, like that's really incredibly good work. And the symbolism all through it is really interesting to me. So if you've got any book recommendations that don't require a PhD, I would be grateful. Here's another one that I've sliced to bits and turned into not even an oracle. This is the John Bower, and the images felt like they were being way too squished into tarot, that it just bugged me from the moment I opened it. And I know some people love it, and I know through shame, I knew through mud. This is my perspective. But I just couldn't do it. And then I thought about, that one, unfortunately, one of my favourite cards got, anyway. I think that was the great coffee spill of, I don't know, maybe February. Yeah, I don't even think I'll turn it into an oracle, because what I do with it is I'll flick out 5 cards in a row. There's my story, and I need to make it fit. And I love it for that. This is one of those story seed decks that I absolutely blip and adore. And there's a couple of cards that I've taken out of the pack which are on my wall that I just can't. They're just so beautiful. So that's the John Bower Tarot. I didn't bother rounding it because I like it like a painting, and I edged it with some brown. Okay, the Mythic Tarot. I've got this in my order, because I believe this deck moves the High Priestess a bit further back in the order. I've done that because I've got the Mythic Tarot workbook with Juliet Sharman Burke that's completely untouched. So I thought about working through it with it, but then I had a look at the workbook and I just don't it just doesn't do much for me. But working through this in terms of deepening understanding of mythology is fun, and it's sitting there waiting for me to finish this. Insert swear word, master's degree. Because until I can clear my mind of all those requirements, I still have a substantial number of academic essays to write, which is, aside with working also, because working's not that easy to shed every day. Some days I need to put in practices that will help me let go of what's happened. Squid cake Marseille. It was my only Marseille at this stage. Again, I suspect I'm just beginning my collection. But I have to be mindful of that too, because it is my intention when my children have flown the nest to move to a smaller style of living, so storage is going to be an issue. yeah, I don't know anything about squid cake. Nothing. I don't know if I missed something in my generation or it's like a generation after me, because I missed a whole lot of, aside from the grunge, I really missed a lot of the early 2000s too, so I don't know. You know, like, I was pretty immersed in music and not the rest of pop culture in the 90s. So yeah. But I really enjoy it. When I'm at the uni centre and when I get a study room to myself, I use the Pomodoro method to study, and when I'm having a little break sometimes I flick out a few cards, and this is I love the size of this, and then if I was to do a deck I might even consider something that size. The Poe Tarot, because I saw it, there's a really cool shop on the way to visit friends that I try to pop into. So I thought, why not? And then I got it and I thought, oh well. The guidebook is pretty much no shade, but I just don't think it really does anything. It just says what's on the card sometimes. So I've just sort of shoved that back in the bottom of the box and I don't even look at it. I rarely get this out. I just sort of flick through it from time to time. I like some of the quotes are really, really well done. Like, I intend to put up with nothing that I can put down. So yeah, it's like the Robert Frost quote, never sever what can be untied. That's like, I think, something that we should live by. I think that's my tummy. I'm really apologising for that because it's getting quite noisy. Believe nothing you hear and only half that you see. Maybe, I don't know. I think when I've been a little disappointed because I feel like there's been a missed opportunity. I think this could have been delivered in a different way. I love the bags though. It just probably wasn't what I was hoping for. So that's on me, isn't it? Really? So I might just leave this out to flick through, and now that initial disappointment, it's a pretty good tag. I don't know. My initial disappointment sort of gave me some tood, so maybe I need to just revisit that. Okay, 2 more. The Old Style Tarot, or just Old Style, by Alexander Ray. I've moved it and I forget about it sometimes, so I want to bring it back over because this has been a really good reader for me. I love the etching style. Is that what it is? Art. There's, things like this, like the Four of Swords. Yes, rest. But don't forget that maybe you're resting on the shoulders of others. Yeah, I really like it. I've used this with the Botanical Inspirations and other oracles, but this has given me some very insightful, blunt readings that I'm always here for. I'm never really one to get my feelings hurt by a deck. So yeah, I recommend it. It's a mass market, so, it's really easy to come by. And if you've got the funds and the inclination, perhaps it's one to consider. It's definitely you can't miss it. It's all Rider Waite. You can't miss. If you know Rider Waite Smith, it is that. It's just, a really lovely, the Eight of Swords. Look, I think that's a really, really, really good depiction. And I take that to be like the ghost of the past, but also own self torturing or ready to, do something pretty horrendous to ourselves. So The no, not that, just old style tarot. Okay, the last one is the Herbal Astrology Oracle by Ariana Ayales. Kind of wish the herbs that she used in here were a little more common. Now, it's something uncommon for me to say because I really like learning about things I don't know much about, like Shisandra. Very curious. The artwork, though, is so beautiful that I would love to be using this all the time, every day. But because there's a disconnect, perhaps until I learn more about these herbs, plant medicine, then, you know, I sort of don't reach for it. But that's a me thing. I'm sure there are people out there who love that these are the plants that have been represented, and I'm jealous of you because it is so beautiful. And yeah, I'm hopeful that perhaps she'll consider extending this deck to incorporate some of the more widely known, and let's face it, probably of European, although, you know, I'd be really open to one with a lot more Australian plants as well. So anyway, I can't make it about me, but I just love it and I wish I used it more. So occasionally she pops a I Ching in too, it seems, and I've just noticed that, which is probably my divination of choice. If I really want an oracle guide that I feel like is actually coming from source, then that's the one I particularly tend to use. But I've mentioned it before, I sort of still pop that skepticism aside for my reads in tarot as well. Comfrey. I've got a comfrey plant in a pot, not doing so well, but it's named Humphrey the Comfrey. Anyway, it's the last one for this video because I think I'm actually going to try and push forward and record them all, but whether I'll get to get them up and stuff, I'll just wait and see. So thank you, everybody. You're ace. Hope you're enjoying your decks. I hope you're enjoying your day, and I will catch you in the next one. Thanks for subscribing. It's pretty ace. It makes me go, oh, maybe I will keep going. So your encouragement's appreciated, and so are your comments. And yeah, I'll catch you next one. Thanks. Bye.